Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're so excited to have you here with us today on World Vegan Day. We're going to get started in just a few moments, but if you want to go ahead and put in the chat on Facebook and YouTube where you're from, any comments you want to say Happy World Vegan Day, we're going to get started in just a few moments. Just so you know, during the event, if you want to ask questions or have comments, you're welcome to do that. We're also going to have a dedicated time for Q&A towards the end of the hour. So please go ahead, introduce yourselves, let us know where you're watching from. And I'm currently in Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
And I am Lisa Apfelberg, and I'm in Austin, Texas.
And we have our presenters from all around the world here with us today. So go ahead and let us know where you're from. Hi, Anshia from Los Angeles. Happy World Vegan Day to you. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Oh, hello, Brandon. So great to see you. Love having you here.
Brandon. I'm assuming Sabrina's there too.
And Virginia from Manhattan. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome, everyone. We're so excited to have you here with us today. We are currently live. I'm Sarah Eifler. I am the program director of Jewish Veg, which is celebrating its 45th year, inspiring and assisting Jews to adopt plant-based diets as an expression of Jewish values.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Apfelberg. I'm the director of Shamayim Jewish Animal Advocacy. And like Jewish Veg, we are a national nonprofit dedicated to teaching the Jewish community about veganism and animal advocacy. And we are very interested in growing the plant-based community through offerings like this one. We know how hard it can be to connect with others with similar values, and we love to facilitate that. We're so excited to be putting on this wonderful celebration of World Vegan Day with Jewish Veg.
And together with Shamayim and our other incredible partners, we have launched a historic campaign called Toward a Pandemic-Free World to educate the Jewish community and the world at large about the zoonotic origins of COVID-19, which is to say that the novel coronavirus, like all other major epidemic outbreaks, has resulted from the use and abuse of animals. And so we are now seeing more than ever that our individual food choices have global impacts. By making compassionate, sustainable choices, we can create the world that we all want to see. Today is World Vegan Day. There is no better time to start. So we have 4 incredible presenters from around the world who are going to be sharing their recipes with us today to help us celebrate. As you'll see today, Jewish cuisine is as varied and diverse as the Jewish people. We have this idea, especially in the United States, that Jewish food is something that's actually very specific, mostly Ashkenazi or Eastern European fare from the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. That's the food that my Ashkenazi ancestors ate in shtetls and in ghettos when they didn't have access to fresh produce or wholesome meals. So these foods like gefilte fish and schmaltz, they come from this story, this oppression and poverty. But that is not the only Jewish story. Jewish food is as varied and diverse. It comes from every land, every community, every Jewish culture. And so you're going to see some amazing recipes today from all of these incredible places around the world where Jews have settled. And what they all have in common is this consciousness and mindfulness that Judaism expects of us in determining what we bring into our bodies, as well as this ethic of compassion and care that we owe to animals, to the world, and to ourselves. So happy World Vegan Day. Here are 4 incredible Jewish vegan recipes, and I'm so happy to pass it on to Lisa to introduce our first presenter.
Thank you, Sarah. I am so excited to be here with BJ Barhani, who you are going to see in just a minute, because she is the owner of an Ethiopian restaurant, and Ethiopian food is my absolute favorite. She is an entrepreneur, activist, and advocate who was born in Ethiopia, raised in Israel, and currently resides in New York. At a very young age, she immigrated to Israel on a journey that lasted 3 years, visiting 4 countries. She acclimated to Israeli life, learning Hebrew and joining the army. And soon after, she traveled across South America for a year and again emigrated, this time to the US. Looking to celebrate and advocate for Ethiopian Jews, she started the nonprofit Bina Cultural Foundation and created the Sheba Film Festival. Today, she is the chef and owner of an eclectic Ethiopian restaurant, Zion Cafe, that's in Harlem, that incorporates cuisine from many places that has been influential on her journeys. She's also working on a cookbook as well as looking to publish a children's book. Welcome, BJ.
Thank you.
So happy that you're with us. Before we show your amazing dish that you're sharing with us, can you please tell us about opening the Ethiopian restaurant Zion Cafe in Harlem?
Well, I decided to open Zion Cafe to provide vegan, vegetarian option to the community. As you said earlier, I'm in Harlem, New York, and the option were not there. So we wanted to introduce something wholesome, tasty to the community. And here comes Zion Cafe. Beside that, within the Ethiopian cuisine itself, for centuries, veganism, eating vegan food is within the culture, is lifestyle. So it's not a nature, something new. So that is within my culture, and I wanted to share it with other people within the community.
Wonderful. And we are about to show a video that you made of you making a delicious dish, and we're going to share the recipe with all of our guests. But can you tell me, I really enjoyed hearing why you chose to share a collard greens recipe when we asked you to highlight Ethiopian food. Can you share that?
The reason I wanted to share collard green with you, because usually majority of the time here in the US, collard green is associated food from the South or soul food, and it's mainly cooked with pork or meat or any other meat or fat. And I just wanted to bring some shine light on it to showcase that collard green could be vegan and very tasty and delicious, which is actually in Ethiopia is a very popular dish. Usually people will go to the backyard, to the garden, and saute it with garlic, onion, and ginger and a little bit of oil. And here you go. It doesn't have to be with meat or anything like it. So that's my emphasis was.
Wonderful. And did I hear you correctly when you told me that collard greens grow everywhere in Ethiopia? It's such a common plant to be found growing?
It is. You can actually find it in your backyard in a way, in a wild, but I would say it's a bit different than the one that is here in the US. It's not as leafy and big and rough as here. It's just a different type, but it still is in the same family, I would say, collard green, close to spinach and that sense.
Beautiful. Well, your dish is mouth-watering. We're now going to show our guests what it looks like to prepare it.
My name is BJ Barhani. I am the owner of Zion Cafe, an Ethiopian Mediterranean restaurant located in Harlem, NYC. We're all about harmonizing and celebrating Jewish diversity throughout food. We're going to go through the process of the different ingredients that we have to make the Ethiopian gomen hamli for the Sukkot. So as you see, I have my beautiful seasonal collard green. In Ethiopia, we call it gomen or hamli. Around the harvest time, people will go in their backyard, in the garden, and just collect a few pounds, I would say, and basically dice it, cut it. We have the garlic here, a little bit of ginger. We're gonna cut it and peel it as well. And about 2 yellow onions, medium size. You can definitely cut the edges of the collard green, but you're gonna dice it nice and small. I mean, it's gonna take us a little bit. You guys might need to pitch in to help to cut it. Collard green is it's nutritious, it's green. The way we cook it, it's vegan. I don't cook it with butter, with canola oil, and it gives a vibrant color to your table, to the menu. Traditionally, as I said, this is found in the wild, so you don't need really to go to the market and buy it. And it's organic, and is available free from nature, so it's delicious. You basically take your onions, cut it, in quarters or so, and I'm gonna peel my ginger quick. I don't need much of it, maybe half a teaspoon, and all of that goes to the blender. See, almost there. Yeah, this is what you basically want. I'm gonna dump it in here, nice and smooth, all of it together. So we're gonna take a medium pan, and then you can add your half a cup, quarter cup, according to your liking of oil. You can do it with olive oil, you can do it with canola. If you want, you can do it with butter as well. I keep it vegan, simple. I cook with canola oil, add my onion. Because of the garlic and ginger, it might turn a little bit kind of green, yellowish. That's when you know it's cooked well, and then you can add your collard green. So for now, we have to let it sit and cook nicely for about 10 to 12 minutes or so. From the first time, the color, it was very white, now it's turning kind of green. So we're gonna take our collard green, add it here. It looks like a lot, but volume-wise, it's gonna shrink. And we're gonna let it cook down. You don't need really to add water. And now is, I guess, the time to season it. We're gonna put our salt and pepper. It's according to your liking. I think this is enough. I'm gonna take some cumin and a little bit of nutmeg for the nice aroma. We're gonna mix it nicely. It's so simple, it's just a collard green. I will cut a little bit of injera. You can enjoy it with injera, rice, or by itself. And we're ready. Basically what you do is you rip off the injera. As an honor of a guest that is coming to visit us, we'll give them the first bite. And here you go. Enjoy.
That looks so delicious. That is such an awesome video. It looks so healthy and fresh too. Thank you so much. And I know that you have to get off shortly because you're at your busy restaurant and you have a buffet coming up. But before I let you go, can you tell us just a little bit about your children's book that you're working on?
Actually, there is a unique holiday called Sigd that is celebrated by Ethiopian Jews, and it's happening this year on November 15. It become a national holiday. It's all about back when Ethiopia, it was hopefully returning to the promised land. In a way, it's a commemoration of the exile in Babylon when Ezra and Nehemiah were exiles. So that kind of duplication on that. Eventually, when Ethiopian Jews made Aliyah and returned to Israel, there was no need to really celebrate it because we are in the promised land in Zion. But in order eventually to rebuild Jerusalem, Beit HaMikdash, the temple, and unification of all Jews throughout the world, we are celebrating this holiday in return and a celebration of our beautiful diversity of Jewish culture within Israel and the diaspora. That's the book is all about. Hopefully somebody is interested. We're looking forward to it, to be out and educate the new generation about the uniqueness and diversity of different cultures within the Jewish world.
I love that. I can't wait to read it. And thank you so much for teaching us something additional today that we didn't know about. A lot of people have been writing in the chat about they're going to go buy collard greens today, or they're so excited to try this and how delicious it looks. So I just want to thank you so much for being with us here today. A World Vegan Day celebration would not have been complete without the amazingness of Ethiopian food. And I'm so happy to know you now, and can't wait to meet you in your restaurant soon. Thank you again.
See you soon, and hopefully tag us with your new dish of collard green, guys.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa and BJ. That was so awesome. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next guest. So Diana Big Mama Rose is a native New Yorker with a multi-ethnic background as diverse as the city she comes from: Russian, Puerto Rican, Chinese, and Black. She has been plant-based since age 7, an activist since 16. She has worked in the business world, taught as an English ESL teacher, motivated as a life skills coach, and helped heal others as an intuitive empath, yoga, and Tantra practitioner. She is also the advocacy chair of the New York City chapter of Jewish Veg, and we are so pleased to have her with us today. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Happy World Vegan Day, everybody. She forgot to mention that I'm a big dork, so if you ladies and gents see me blush, it's because I'm pretty dorky.
That's right. I am also a dork. We will unite in dorkdom. So, Diana, I want to get to your video because you actually have a really multi-step dish that you've shared with us today, which is super incredible. But before we get to it, so you asked your mother to create this dish with you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It was interesting, to say the least. I mean, she was freaking out. I was freaking out. It was a labor of stress and love, if you will, as all cooking it mostly is. But growing up, you know, I would see her do this, and this dish, pasteles, is traditionally something that we see in Puerto Rico. We do see it in Dominican Republic as well, and it's usually for the holidays. So whether, you know, we're celebrating, you know, November holidays or December holidays, if you will, you know, it's something that we look forward to, and it resonates in the homes, and it smells lovely. And she was eager and taken aback. She was like, "They want my recipe," and I'm like, "Yes." So it was fun, and yeah, I hope that you guys and gals enjoy it. You know, it was a labor of love.
Thanks so much, Diana. All right, so everyone bear with me for a moment because I'm going to share my screen. So please hold.
We add, it's very popular in the Caribbean, and you add it just to give more flavorful nuance to the dish. So what we have here is super basic, which is red onion, cilantro, and green pepper as well. So red onion, cilantro, green pepper, and then my mother's going to add water.
A little bit, not too much, because like that.
Okay. And so having, you know, been brought up, this is good. And so basically what I was saying is having been brought up multi-ethnic, I am Chinese, Russian, Puerto Rican, and Black, it's just beautiful to maintain certain cultural dishes. You push it down, I mean, and you make it work, and it becomes like a nice little paste, if you will. Adding more water to the end. onion, there you go. That's your sofrito. And a lot of the times you can purchase it already made, but you don't necessarily. And if you want to add more, you can. So now we did the sofrito. And now what's the next step?
Well, the next step, I'm doing the green banana and puree.
Okay.
Then
you're gonna grate it? Okay.
yeah,
So
like this, I have.
Okay, so she's grating it right into the bowl. And this does take time to, this is a dish, primarily in Puerto Rico, pasteles are done for the holiday season. So a lot of the times for the November holidays, such as Thanksgiving or Indigenous Peoples Day, they do it, and or definitely for December, for the December months. It's a dish that is really in holiday tradition. So whether they're celebrating Hanukkah, or yes, because there are a lot of Puerto Rican Jews in the islands, or they're celebrating Christmas and or Three Kings Day. This is definitely something that you will find in a lot of households, pasteles. So basically you're grating it, and it'll become a slow consistency. And so basically after that is done, she'll fill this entire bowl with this gooey concoction, if you will.
Okay.
And yes.
This is green plantain.
Yes.
But you have to put this because it little smooshy, right?
Right, mushy.
It's not to be hard.
Yeah.
Not to mushy. Okay. And then she put the salt, seasoning.
Right. So these are
this.
So basically these are so pink salt, seasoning, and here we have some garlic, some pepper, oregano, and then you can have capers and olives. This is achote, which achote adds this beautiful red coloring. And then in lieu of meat products, what we have here is vegan chicken strips, and you can get those anywhere with some mixed veggies. Okay. So after she makes this wonderful
she have to peel it like that.
Yeah, so after
cut the finger.
Okay. Yes, they'll be careful not to cut their fingers. But anyway, so after she's going to make this, then I'll show you guys the product in terms of the paste, and then how she's going to put it in parchment paper and then tie it up. And then you cook it, and it's delicious. It is just phenomenal, and just something that you can snack on or have for lunch and or dinner. Okay, so now that the green plantains were grated, we also added taro. So this rooted bowl right here. And basically taro is also known in Puerto Rico as yautia, Y-A-U-T-I-A. In other parts of the Caribbean is known as malanga. And we also know it as taro. Also in Asian dishes, we use taro as well. Taro is very healthy. You can put it in a smoothie. You can eat it just like this, sauteed, baked, and or added, in this case, to the paste. And then to give it this nice coloration, we added the achote, which is basically a saffron. So if any of you guys and gals have done saffron rice, that's what gives it that nice color. And in the pot, we have the unchicken coming to a boil with sauteed veggies and more cilantro, more sofrito in it, as well as the capers and the olives. And what my mother is going to do is that she's going to then, the last process is put the parchment paper out, put this paste onto the parchment paper, add these ingredients, and then she'll show how she's going to tie that afterwards. So now this delicious unchicken with all the savory veggies and the beautiful chote, sofrito, everything, she went ahead and is now going to put it in this green plantain and taro paste. Wraps them in a little pocket.
See?
And there you go. That's your pastel. So basically now she's going to take the twine and she's going to tie it like so.
Not to tie, okay?
Mm-hmm. Creating a little sack, if you will.
See?
And so basically after that, we would freeze these. And so they're going to harden. And then, so she's going to put it, in the water first. To cook it. And then she would take them out and then freeze them. And then we would serve them. And then that's going to be the last picture, if you will, of the finished product.
Thank you for that.
There we go. All right.
It was a labor, I'm telling you, of intensity. I couldn't fit everything into one frame, but here I do have the finished product. If you look, yes, here's the pastel right here. And I'm going to angle the camera. There you go. There you go. With some of the unchicken and veggies on the side. And what we usually do is we can put rice and peas, so also known as arroz con gandules, next to it, and that's, you know, how we eat it. Traditionally, though, this would have beef and or pork, but of course, like I always say, that's a no-no around here. So hence the vegan, and you know, it looks like a tamale, if you will. So if anybody's seen a tamale, that's what it looks like. But the picture of this is on the recipe book, you know, when it comes out, and the full recipe is there. And thank you everybody for being patient through that crazy bit over there. So yeah, but we made it.
No, it was wonderful. It was so great to see you cooking with your mom. I love that. And you could really see like the love and care that goes into what you make. We did get a couple questions that I just want to go through really fast. So Risa asked if you wanted to go high tech and use a machine to grate for the plantains, could you do that, or would it ruin the recipe?
No, it wouldn't ruin the recipe. My mother has gone high tech. I think she wanted to keep it old school so that you beautiful individuals could see the whole process. But doing high tech is highly recommended because it is an arm workout, and especially if we're doing and giving these away in the community. Like sometimes we do 30, 50 pasteles and we just give them out. So yeah, your arm would definitely get a workout.
That's amazing that you give them out too. And then Valerie asked if the cilantro and red onion mix is cooked with the veggies.
Well, what we do is it's basically the sofrito, right? The cilantro, we just add it in. You don't need to cook it beforehand. You just throw it in the blender with the red onions. You can add cumin also to give it that nice ethnic kick to it as well. And you just blend it. Sofrito is basically something that we use as an added seasoning, and it is really delicious. It really peps it up. And so even like when I do like vegan borscht, I'll add it just because, you know, why not? You know, so it's like, it's just, you know, however, and notice in the recipe when I wrote it, I put eyeballing it because it is to taste, right? So I don't believe in giving you guys and gals like, oh, put her half this. It's really to taste. So your salt is to taste and everything. And, you know, I guess that's what makes it, you know, unique for everybody. Some people do their pasteles where they put raisins and garbanzo beans in it. Chickpeas are really good, high in protein. Raisins, they want that nice little sweetness to it. So it really depends on what part of the island when you visit. You interact with people and they do it their own way.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Diana. As we have said a couple of times now, we are going to be sending the recipes out to you in an email following the event if you have registered. So you will be receiving those. Diana, thank you so much. You're going to be sticking around for Q&A towards the end. So if you didn't get a chance to ask your questions, please remember she'll still be here towards the end. And now I'm going to pass it on to Lisa with our next presenter. Thanks again, Diana.
I'm so excited to be introducing our next presenter, Esti Raviv, whom we invited here today to bring the Israeli perspective, because a Jewish celebration of World Vegan Day wouldn't be complete without that, but she brings so much more to it because of her ancestors and where they come from, and because of the world traveling she's done. So I'm going to introduce her now. She loves cooking and healthy food. Esti was born in Israel, and as she was growing up, her family, the meals in her family were influenced by both their Middle Eastern location and the Eastern European flavors that came from a Romanian mother and a Polish father. And they were enriched further due to the family's frequent travels. She continues to love to travel and loves art and creative expression, and is a graphic and a jewelry designer. Cooking is a passion to her that is relaxing and also provides a creative outlet. She loves to host dinner guests and to teach cooking classes and spread her love for healthy and creative cooking. All of the recipes on her amazing website, From Esti's Kitchen, are developed by her. She recently launched her How to Entertain in Style with Vegan Cheese workshop on her website, and her new book, Oy Vey Vegan, is fabulous, and she's been appearing regularly on TV in Portland, Oregon, where she lives with her family, doing cooking segments. She has also been featured in Vogue magazine, Vegan Life magazine UK, and many other notable places. And Esti enjoys sharing her knowledge and experience with people who want to become plant-based and don't know where to start. So I'm very excited to welcome Esti today.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm
so excited. Good to have you here. So Esti, can you please share with us your journey to veganism?
Sure. I mean, it's a long story, but I'll make it short. I started having some health issues a few good years ago. And I tried to research and see, you know, how can I help myself? And since I was never really a meat lover, so it was easy to remove that, but I was very much a dairy lover. So removing dairy from my diet was a challenge at first, but the minute I did that, I really felt like my body had changed and was balanced, and everything, all my system, you know, was working properly for once, you know, in my life. And I was so happy that I was able to solve my own health issues that I wanted to share it with the world. And that's why I decided to write my cookbook and basically share the recipes that I was making for my family, for my kids, and basically sharing my journey into the plant-based world. Yeah, so, you know, yeah, and I enjoyed creating new recipes and really learning about how wide this world is. You know, people think that if you're vegan, you're so, you know, you give up all your favorite food and everything, but it's so not true. It's such a complex kitchen and such a such amazing dishes that you can do with plant-based ingredients. So
I totally agree.
Yeah, and so
amazing.
the dishes that I really missed, I just recreated them into the vegan world. So many of my childhood favorite dishes that my mom used to make in the Jewish holidays, I just recreated into the vegan world. And to be honest, they are always the hits of the dinner, especially my vegan pate. My vegan pate, every holiday, whoa, people just love it, love it, love it, love it, more than the real chopped liver or the real vegan pate.
For sure. I love that message because people always say, oh, you're restricting so much. And it's like, no, we can eat everything and we're so creative. So I totally agree with you. And you are our sole live food preparer today, but that's because you do this on TV as well. So before we get to that, I just have one more question. Can you just share a little bit more about how all of your cultural backgrounds play into the recipes that you develop and love?
Yeah, of course. So as I said, I mean, I never felt when I went vegan that I gave up something that I really, really like to eat. If it's cheese, I made my own cheese, just made it vegan. If it's certain dishes, I just made them vegan, and it's a lot easier than what people think. So yeah, I think that's the main. And I growing up in Israel, you eat a lot of vegan food on a regular basis, even if you're not vegan. So the whole Mediterranean cuisine is based on lots of veggies, greens, and just legume and all that good stuff. So
for sure,
very easy. It was very easy, a lot easier than I thought.
Wonderful.
And
well, thank you.
And the fact that I felt so good, made it all so worth it.
100% agree with you. Well, I am so excited for our community to see what you're preparing today. It looks absolutely beautiful. So why don't you go ahead and get started?
Okay, so first of all, I would say about this dish today. Number one, that dish was influenced by a very popular wedding appetizer or first course dish in Israel. Yeah, in all Israeli weddings, you would get that puff pastry with mushrooms and gravy. And I remember as a child, I loved it. It's so comforting. It's so good. So what I did today, I actually combined that mushrooms and gravy with polenta. Polenta is basically corn grits, and polenta is in Romanian, it's called mamaliga, is a dish I grew up on. My mom is from Romania and she used to make it for us, and I always loved it. So here I combine, instead of puff pastry, I combine the polenta, the mushroom mixture, and the gravy on top. And I thought it's the perfect dish also for Thanksgiving, where we eat the mashed potatoes and gravy, or the stuffing with the gravy. I mean, the gravy is always good to add, not only here, but in any, in other dishes as well. And I know that a lot of people just don't know that you can do vegan gravy. So I want to show you how I do it, and it's so simple. Now, another thing I wanted to mention, everything is gluten-free on top of the fact that it's vegan. So what we'll do is I will start by making the gravy. And so what I'll do, I'll add some olive oil to a stainless steel pan. And the reason I'm using stainless steel is because I want to use the whisk, and I don't want to use it on a non-stick pan because I don't want to ruin it. To the olive oil, I'm going to add gluten-free oat flour, but you can add regular flour. I'm just keeping mine gluten-free. And what I'll do is I'm going to cook the dough, the flour. I don't want to have raw flour. So first of all, I'm just gonna kind of let it bubble and cook it. And yeah, just cook the flour. Especially if you're using regular flour, so you really want to make sure that it's cooked, and then you don't have that raw dough feeling in your mouth. So, and now that process goes so quickly, really, really quickly. And now I just let it bubble a little bit and cook, and I'm going to show you in a second how it looks. And basically only 2 ingredients, so simple. Usually the regular gravy would go with juices from the meat, and then you can add flour and make kind of a bechamel sauce with the meat liquid or whatever. But I'm doing it all from scratch. And look, I just want you to see. You see the bubbles? Good. Now that it's cooked, I am going to add the flavor. And what I'm using here is basically vegetable base. If you don't have vegetable base, but you do have vegetable stock, you can absolutely use vegetable stock, because what I'm making basically is I'm using water and the vegetable base, and I'm mixing it, and I'm basically making my own vegetable stock. And now I'm just going to add it gradually and mix constantly until it gets nice and thick. And I don't want to have any lumps, and I want my sauce to be really smooth. So I'm just going to keep mixing. Beautiful, just like that. And in just a second, it's going to get nice and thick.
Esty, someone asked, is that vegetable bouillon? Is that the same thing as vegetable bouillon?
Yes, but this is a paste. Vegetable bouillon usually comes in a cube. I believe it's going to taste the same. I'm just very much used to use the paste. And I can show you which one I'm using. I'll show you the one I'm using, and I highly recommend, because first of all, it saves time. It saves spots in your pantry because it's so tiny. Thank you. So that's the brand that I'm using, and it's vegan and it's organic. And I keep it in the fridge, and I just use it. It adds so much flavor to basically any savory dish that you're making. And if you look at the ingredients, there's really only good stuff in there. So it's good. So now my gravy is ready. And as I said, in really no time. Look how beautiful. First of all, I want you to see how it bubbles. It bubbles.
Wow, amazing.
It got really thick and beautiful. And look at it. You see? It's beautiful, thick.
Amazing.
The best. Oh, and now, wait, I'm just going to add a little bit of pepper to this too. But that was the first thing I wanted to show you. The second thing I wanted to show you to create this beautiful dish is going to be the polenta. So what I have here, first of all, I'm going to put the gravy on the side, and that can wait. Perfect. And now what I'm going to do, I boiled 2 cups of water, just plain water. To the water, I'm going to add a little bit of salt, less than a teaspoon, probably about half a teaspoon. And I have here half a cup of polenta, basically corn grits. And it's supposed to be boiling, so we'll wait just a quick second. It's almost boiling. You want it to be boiling. And I'll add it. Perfect. And then I am just going to whisk. Whisk, 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 whisk. And it should take just a couple of minutes until my polenta is ready. Now, the reason I'm doing the polenta last is because I want the polenta to be nice and still soft and I would say runny a little bit, just because when the polenta gets cold, then it sets and it gets hardened. So, okay, so this is how I'm making the polenta, and I don't know if I have time to show how I put this dish together.
We have about 1 or 2 more minutes.
Okay, excellent. So the polenta, I wanted to show you, it gets kind of cooked. It needs, so how I know that it's ready is when all the water basically soaks into the polenta. And you need to keep whisking constantly, just like that, because we don't want to have any lumps. And now I see that it's ready. So I'm going to turn the heat off. Perfect. I'm going to turn the heat off, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the mushroom mixture. So you will have the recipe for the mushroom. It's pretty straightforward. So what you do, you'll chop an onion and garlic, and you'll have all the amount of each ingredient in the recipe that Sarah is going to send out. So you basically start sauteing the onions and the garlic, then add the chopped mushrooms, salt, pepper, simple. So this is what you get. And now there are 2 options to make the dish. You can use either a large kind of ramekin. You can use large one if you want your dish to be main dish. Or you can use a smaller one, a smaller ramekin, if you want your dish to be as an appetizer. So here I'm going to start putting it all together. So I'm going to take the soft. Do you see how my polenta is still nice and soft, and I'm able to work with it? So I'm going to take some of the polenta, and I'm going to drop it to the bottom of my ramekin, and I'm going to arrange it nicely on the bottom. You don't need to oil it, you don't need anything, just like that. So first layer, and then I'm going to take about 2 tablespoons here, and remember, this is the bigger dish, so that's going to be a nice main dish size. And the third layer is going to be another layer of the polenta, and I'm just going to kind of spread it evenly, just like that. And this is the dish. Now, you can do the whole thing the day before you're planning to serve it. And now I want to show you how I take it. So I have here two sizes that I made yesterday, smaller one and large one. And what I do is I take the knife and I kind of release the edges. Perfect. And then do the...
It looks like you have a customer already.
I do. He's with me always. Okay, so
that's
now
wonderful.
I let it... No, wait. Okay, let's see. No, it's still not coming out. Just a minute. I'll release it a little more.
Of course, it's always going to taste delicious, however it comes out.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Beautiful.
Okay, so now that I have the dish, you see how beautiful it looks. Now I'm going to take the gravy, the nice gravy here. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take just a spoon and I am going to top it with the gravy, just like that. And you can also, you have here, so I made one dish for you, just like a beauty.
Oh, it's beautiful.
See, and I just decorated it with some greens. And here is the smaller size that I made. I wanted to show you how it
wonderful.
Looks.
Oh, I see, it's so beautiful. And I know there's been a lot of chat, and I know people are going to have questions for you at the end. And I'm so thankful that you're able to stick around. It looks absolutely delicious. Thank you so much for sharing this with us, for being here with us today. And also, what a great gift that you've given us. A gravy recipe that we can use on a lot of other dishes as well. So stick around, because we'll be back with you and all the other speakers shortly. But we're going to go to our last presenter.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, I'm so excited to introduce our fourth and final presenter. Carmit Delman is the author of 2 books that explore the intersection of Judaism, culture, and food. Her first book, Burnt Bread and Chutney, Burnt Bread and Chutney, describes growing up Indian and Jewish in America. And her new novel, Consider the Feast, follows her protagonist Talia through a decadent quarter of New York City that is filled with indulgent eating. But the haves and the have-nots in this world sit at the edge of a reckoning. The story is a satire of contemporary food culture. Welcome, Carmit.
Hi, so good to be here. And now I'm absolutely ravenous after all of these delicious looking recipes. I'm sure everyone else is too.
And we're going to be after yours as well. Speaking of ravenous, so your book, Consider the Feast, which I highly recommend to everyone, incredible book, really deals with hunger on a lot of levels. And it kind of talks about this really like obsessive and entitled food culture. Can you talk a little bit about that and like what prompted you to write this?
So it was, I think, years in the making, just kind of experiencing American food culture as it is. I've always kind of had a curiosity about food culture. Even as a child, I remember really gravitating towards conversations and experiences around the table. But the older I got, I became kind of aware of the inconsistencies and critical of the, sort of the haves and the have-nots that are built into the food system. And, when the average person gets, sets their table or makes their grocery list, there are so many privileged moves and decisions that go into it, and so many people who sacrifice, parts of their life or lose out in moments of their life in order to provide that. And so I guess, I became really curious about it, and I thought to myself, what would it look like if I could really kind of explode that culture and, create this satire and have a character move through it and struggle with it in an open way. Because I feel like the struggle is, sort of in smaller communities where people recognize animals, or they recognize, child labor, or they recognize some of the issues in the food system, but that's not really the general conversation. So I sort of wanted to bring that to the surface more.
Beautiful, and you really did in this book. And one of the things that I just want our audience to know is that although the food in the book is not vegan and sometimes can be very difficult to read, as you pointed out, for non-vegans too, which is part of the point. The themes are very, very vegan. And I think everyone in our audience should definitely check it out and buy it. It's an incredible, incredible book. Consider the feast. So I want to share your video, which you shared with us today. So I'm going to go ahead and play that.
We're going to chop up this green cabbage into long, thin strips. Sometimes you can just get a bag of cabbage, but this is a little more satisfying. You can make it exactly as you want and it's fresh. And if you really feel brave, you can get the purple cabbage. So my oil is heated, and now I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of cumin. And a 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric, and a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and a 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder. If you can't handle the heat, then you can minimize that if necessary. Now the key to Indian food, I find, is really letting these spices fuse together. I definitely see that, especially when I'm making a curry. This is a little bit different because it doesn't have to sit in the liquid in quite the same way and to sort of marinate in it for a long time, but just I find that having everything combined properly in the beginning before the solids really go in makes for a big difference for me. So now I have my cabbage in the pan and I've stirred it all together, and I'm going to cover it up. So after it was covered for a good 5 minutes or so, maybe more, it really heated up and absorbed everything nicely. It's all sort of fused and fried together, which means we are done. So we're just going to put this into a bowl. As you can see, I loaded it up with cilantro. There are lots of great ways to eat this cabbage. You can just have it over basmati rice, which I think is the go-to. I grew up with my grandmother making fresh chapatis, and they would come right off of the pan, and we'd roll up the cabbage nicely in that. And that was dinner. It was delicious. And you can also just eat it straight up, which might be what happens here today with this. I love cilantro. Some people love it, some people don't. But the cabbage is spectacular no matter what. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Carmi. It looks so good. I'm so hungry. I'm just so hungry right now. So we're getting towards the end of the hour, so I want to invite all of our speakers back and to ask our audience if they would like to ask any questions. So let me go ahead and add everyone back in. And thank you everyone for being here. So excited to have all of you. So if anyone has questions in the comments, please feel free. And Carmeet, while we're seeing what people have to ask, I wanted to ask you about what it was like for you to write this book as a vegan and kind of deal with some of these, as I mentioned, kind of upsetting scenes. When you yourself are vegan, what was that like for you?
So I think that writing, is just kind of a crazy process altogether. People write all sorts of wild things, and you never want to see the search history of a writer for sure, because you may never look at them straight again. But it was actually really interesting to sort of descend into the chaos and the indulgence in such a graphic way, and to have to struggle or grapple with each word and figure out like how grotesque does this moment need to be, and to really capture it. And it felt very real, I think is the most, it felt very visceral to kind of create these moments. And it was hard. It was hard. And one of the interesting things is I've, gone and spoken about the book, even non-vegans have responded to the graphic nature of the description, and have often said to me, I never thought about food in this way. And, often these are Jewish folks, and it certainly is, the mindfulness is built into our culture, but I think this blew them away about what an element of lacking mindfulness that's existing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so thank you everyone so much for joining us today. I am seeing this question about will the recipes be posted online? So if you have registered for this event, you will be receiving the recipes in your inbox. If you have not registered, go ahead and click the link in the description and go ahead and register there so that we can send you those recipes via email. While you're doing that, I just want to take a moment and thank our amazing sponsors, VDog, creating incredible vegan dog food, Veg Fund, supporting so many vegan animal rights organizations, A Well-Fed World, doing critical work in plant-based hunger solutions, the Nela Foundation, a nonprofit educational foundation promoting vegetarian and organic living. Thank you all so much to all of our panelists, to Lisa, my incredible co-host, for all of our partners on the Toward a Pandemic-Free World campaign. Please check out pandemicfree.org. Check out their work. They're all incredible. Also, if these recipes have interested you, if you want to be a little more veg in whatever way works for you, check out Plant Pathways, also found at pandemicfree.org. It's a community-oriented program to help you become a little more veg in the way that works best for you. So thank you again to our panelists. So incredibly excited and happy to have you here with us today. Can't wait to try all these recipes out for myself. Thank you to Lisa and to Shamayim for your incredible work. And thank you to our audience. Happy World Vegan Day.
Thank you so much, everyone. So appreciate it. What a great way to